Interview presentation by Laurie Long. Qualitative interviewing is a method for collecting information that is more personal than surveys or questionnaires. These type of research focus on understanding experiences and how they differ amongst participants, rather than finding a calculated correlation like a quantitative research project. This particular study focuses on teachers working in the American educational system by conducting a semi-structured, creatively styled interview and exploring teacher job satisfaction and the factors that influence it most. I chose the semi-structured option because I wanted to have the opportunity for open-ended questions and conversation, but still guided the interview using targeted questions so the participants could stay on topic about their job satisfaction and the factors that influence it. The participant selection process was a convenient, purposeful sampling selection. I chose this type of purposeful sampling because I'm currently not working in a school setting and have limited access to teachers who are. I knew I would want someone who have knowledge and experience with this topic of study, and therefore had a small list of criteria that included teacher with 5 years experience and a teacher currently working in a classroom. Given my limited access to professionals in the field, I resorted to asking a few of my past colleagues from my graduate work I did at a university in Missouri. The participants, Bob and Anna, both had 8 years of experience in the classroom and both worked in other career fields before becoming teachers. Anna worked in the business field, and Bob had previously worked in the music industry. This part of their background information was important to me because having them had one career change, it illustrated that they could recognize those factors of job satisfaction and acknowledge them to the point that it would cause them to change careers. We all graduated from the same program together, so they had the same amount of experience. Anna, which is 8 years, Anna has a smaller student course load of about 11 students and works in a small rural school district in southwest Missouri. She predominantly serves students with mild to moderate exceptionalities. Bob works at a larger urban school and has a caseload of 28 students, predominantly receiving services for emotional disturbances or ADHD. Knowing both the participants before interviewing made rapport development a little easier. I understood their roles in the classroom and their personal history due to our previous interactions in class, so I was able to quickly ease in the conversation once the interviews began. Before doing the interviews, I sent the participants an email that explained the purpose of the interview and asked them for consent to use the interview anonymously for my study. Along with the consent form, they also sent me times they were available for the interview and asked any questions. Both provided consent but did not ask any other questions before the interview. The interviews were conducted via Facebook Messenger. It was limiting at first to use this type of technology because there were outside distractions in both houses, and those participants that I interviewed, I noticed quickly that this was the type of interview was going to be effective. I needed to focus all my attention on my communication skills. And that process of building rapport was a little easier given the fact that we both had young children screaming in the background during our interview. Bob's process for building rapport was a bit different. He didn't have any children, and therefore I ensured I was locked in a room with no outside distractions when I conducted our interviews. I learned through previous interactions that he was a straight-to-the-point kind of guy, and prioritizing his time by limiting distractions would help build rapport. It seemed to work, and he quickly opened up to conversation during both interviews, as evidenced by him saying at the end of the first interview, "Well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be." For the first interview, I wanted to explore how job satisfaction was impacted by the factors at their school. Being a semi-structured interview, I asked several initial questions that were used to start the conversation, and then asked questions related to the topic that served as my interview guide. The initial questions utilized a few provided in the example, and I added some to explore the study topic and probe for job satisfaction. All questions were open-ended, allowing for responses to be led by the participants and less by myself as the researcher. The initial interview consisted of the following questions. What does your work mean to you? Tell me what you like about your job. Tell me what you dislike about your job. Do you like your job today as much as you did when you first started? How has it changed over the years? What events, if any, have changed your satisfaction of your job? Tell me what qualities can be found in effective leadership, and other general questions like why did you become a teacher, and how long have you been teaching, and what does your work mean to you? In a study conducted in 2017, researchers found a negative correlation between job satisfaction and teacher attrition, suggesting that understanding job satisfaction factors is essential for maintaining a robust and diverse workforce in education. Pico and Mihalka's findings indicated that emotional exhaustion, poor colleague relationships, low salary, low prestige, poor work-life balance, and low colleague and administrative support contributed to lower job satisfaction, leading to teacher burnout. This initial protocol was developed to explore these factors and see if they could be identified within this qualitative interview. Once I could code and analyze the data collected from the first interview, the question for the second interview started to unfold. For this interview, I wanted to probe deeper into the special factors influencing the participants' job satisfaction. The analysis of the data suggested that the minor themes of the first interview consisted of work relationships, work-life balance, teaching experiences, responsibilities and duties, loyalty and support, and teacher preparedness. Developing the second protocol focused on these themes, aiming to expand the understanding of the influence these factors have on job satisfaction. The second interview protocol included some of the following questions. Do you think things could make being a teacher better? If so, what? What are the best benefits of teaching for you? What aspects of teaching satisfy you and why? What aspects do not satisfy you? If other careers could provide you the exact same benefits, could you be enticed to leave the field and why? What aspects of teaching decrease your job satisfaction? Tell me how a good relationship with your colleagues and administrator impacts your job satisfaction. The interviews were conducted using Facebook Messenger while signed into my account on my MacBook Pro computer. This allowed me to utilize my Samsung phone to record the interview through the recording application called Otter. Otter provided a high-quality sound that could be safely and confidentially stored on my phone. And my phone can only be unlocked with a password and a fingerprint. The importance of recording interviews securely helps researchers to enhance the accuracy of the data is reliable, as it allows the researcher to listen at the moment and expound on questions without worrying about writing all the details, notes, and quotes that could detract from the quality of the interview. Along with providing high-quality recording services, Otter also provides transcribing services. The transcriptions can be manually corrected for accuracy and safely and confidentially stored on the device or in a file on a secure computer. The transcribing application was very accurate despite the interview taking place over Facebook Messenger, and was a helpful tool for ensuring accurate and detailed transcription. Data organizing can make or break a qualitative study. Creswell provides several factors to consider when organizing data, keeping backup files, labeling, and listing data collected, and using pseudonyms instead of participant names to maintain confidentiality. For my study, the names of my participants were changed, and all data collected was stored using their pseudonyms. I also utilized a free trial of Delve to organize the collected data. Delve is a downloadable application used to aid qualitative inquiry in streamlining multi-participant coding across many different qualitative approaches. The method for analyzing these interviews began with simple in vivo coding. Considering the goal of the qualitative inquiry to be job satisfaction factors, I started by identifying the words and small phrases that seem to capture the essence of job satisfaction. As a first cycle coding method, this helped me use the exact words spoken by my participants as they described their experience with teaching. For example, in Bob's first interview, he said, "I wanted to be on a different schedule," when he was speaking of why he changed his career from the music industry to teaching. Later, he says the teacher schedule is really an appealing aspect of his job. Both phrases use the word schedule, so using in vivo coding, I was able to code for the word schedule as a phrase, one code, as a phase one code, and use any phases that talked about the schedule in the remaining interviews to group together. This was also helpful when we spoke about the schedule when Anna said I had just had my first child and I needed a work schedule that was convenient for having children, when she answered why she became a teacher. As Saldona wrote, the process of coding is a natural process because it works a lot like our brain works. We group small or simple things into a code or category. Our brain then looks at all the codes together to synthesize everything into easily organized patterns for the entire system to run smoothly. Now I could take all the codes that I created for schedule and categorize them into a work-life balance category. The more and more words that found themselves in that category, the more significant that cluster grew, which helped me identify the major and minor themes emerging from the collected data. The following chart illustrates the process of coding for my study, using specific quotes from the participant and moving through the second cycle of categorizing themes. Once I pinpointed the themes needed to support the qualitative inquiry, I used that analysis to develop the interview protocol for the second interview. The second interview aimed to probe that factors that influence job satisfaction by exploring the categories and themes identified in the analysis of the first interview. For the second interview, I decided to use deductive coding. This type of coding used a top-down approach where I would identify a particular theme and look for the data to support it. I specifically looked for words that either promoted job satisfaction or promoted job dissatisfaction. For example, when Anna was asked about aspects of teaching that satisfied her, she answered, "The joy of helping struggling students build confidence." This was coded as a positive teaching experience that promoted job satisfaction. When I asked Bob what aspects of teaching did not satisfy him, he answered, "The changes to curriculum that focuses on assessment but makes it difficult for parents to participate and help the students at home." This was coded as promoting job dissatisfaction. This chart illustrates a portion of the deductive coding used to analyze the data from my second set of interviews. The use of deductive coding was also helpful in testing the accuracy of the coding used for the first interview to ensure the categories and themes were supported and ensure there were not any outlying categories that were overlooked. The findings resulted in 2 major themes and 14 minor themes. The 2 major themes were the influences of job satisfaction and what factors contributed to job dissatisfaction. The 14 minor themes included 7 from each of the 2 major themes, and they included from the job satisfaction theme, positive teacher experience, supportive administration, positive colleague-student relationships, good work-life balance, clearly defined responsibilities, clearly defined roles, and program preparedness. The minor things under job dissatisfaction were negative teaching experience, absent leadership, negative colleague-student relationships, bad work-life balance, unclear responsibility, unclear roles, and poor program preparedness.